The party rolls on for equities. Asian stocks follow Wall Street higher as the Fed's big bond buying plans stoke the feel-good factor. But will a slew of data this week offer a sobering reality check? A surprising lack of news out over the weekend from Cyprus, where finance ministers met to discuss banking union. Let's get to Manoj Ladwa, senior trader, TJ Markets. Morning to you, Manoj. Let me kick it off with a general markets question. This risk rally, do you think it's going to continue towards the end of the year?
I think it's still got legs to continue, and this is usually the period of time in the last quarter of the year whereby we see a strong move up in the markets before we start to see them pull back down again early in the new year. But a lot of what the Federal Reserve announced last week has been fairly well priced in. And if we look at equities, they've had a fantastic run higher. The Dow Jones, for instance, is way above 13,000. Gold is up at $1,800 or close to $1,800.
But if all that good news is already priced in, what else could we get in terms of good news that's going to keep a support under this?
Well, that's just it. I mean, if we start to see 10-year yields creeping down for Eurozone nations, if we start to see new money coming into the equity market, so if we start to see more money flows coming back in, if we start to see economic numbers turn back round to the upside and broker forecasts being raised to the upside as well, then we could see that momentum continue further. But,
and you think we will see all this?
Sorry?
You think we will see all these positives?
I think we'll see a few of these positives, but the markets seem to be at a point of inflection at the moment, and they could pull back from current levels. The good news, to a certain extent, has been fairly well factored in.
Obviously, Xstrata, Glencore is someone we've talked about, BAE, EADS now as well. Are these two or potential massive deals enough to carry things for a while?
Well, I think it's an indication of what's going on in the markets. This does seem to be more M&A activity going on. This does seem to be more merger activity, and it's at the bigger end of the market as well. The Xstrata Glencore deal, I'm confident that will go through. The board will approve over at Xstrata, and it's likely that the Qatari investors will accept the deal as well. The BAE EADS deal is a lot more difficult as well because there's regulatory hurdles here to overcome. And there's a large amount of short interest being built up in BAE as well. So a lot of larger investors aren't particularly confident that the deal will go through. All right, Manoj, thanks a lot. Other headlines on Reuters this morning. US President Barack Obama is to launch a trade complaint against China. The White House says it plans to complain to the WTO over what it says are illegal subsidies for cars and car parts. Obama expected to announce the move during a campaign visit to Ohio later. Not coincidentally, the state is, of course, a major center for the US auto industry. India's central bank left benchmark rates unchanged earlier. The bank says the battle against inflation makes it impossible to cut rates now, but it found room for modest stimulus measures with a cut to bank reserve requirements. Staying in Asia, anti-Japanese feeling in China shows no signs of abating. Reuters' Tara Joseph is in Hong Kong. Tara, obviously over the islands, this dispute, how ugly is this getting?
It is actually getting very ugly, Axel. Over the weekend, dozens of cities in China where protests have broken out. Now, most of the ire towards Japan is focused on the diplomatic missions, the restaurants and the shops. But we're also hearing from some Japanese companies reports of arson and sabotage. Both Honda came forward with that and Panasonic. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is a big day in China. It celebrates the anniversary of the Japanese occupation, and people are very worried that this could escalate. Meanwhile, you've got the two biggest economies in Asia really thrown into crisis over this island dispute.
And what of China's missing man? Word is that Xi is back in, on people's televisions. Is the credibility crisis over? Are people breathing a sigh of relief?
Well, there is a bit of a sigh of relief. He is back, and you probably have these pictures right there in front of you. He was seen yesterday at a Beijing university looking happy and smiling, and the reports are he did hurt his back while he was swimming, which put him out for several weeks. But people are saying this is really out of kilter with the 21st century. You've got a party and a system of media that just will not talk when a leader is not visible, and this could really cause problems in the future. And does the party really need to adjust the way it disseminates news about its leaders? So a lot of questions about credibility, again, at a key time when we've got China and Japan at loggerheads, a leadership transition coming up. it did point out some issues, but he is back, Axel, so you don't have to look for him around London anymore.
Well, yeah, we haven't got anything to talk about this week then, have we? Thanks a lot, Tara.
That's true.
Well, I'm sure there's a Samsung story out there somewhere.
That's right.
Thanks a lot, Tara. Top world news story on Reuters this morning. Just in the last hour, a suicide car bomber has killed 4 Iraqis and wounded 11 others close to an entrance to Baghdad's fortified green zone, where several Western embassies, of course, are located. That's according to police sources in Baghdad. We'll be following that story throughout the day. Other stories: Western embassies across the Muslim world remain on edge today after days of violence sparked by a US film seen to mock the Prophet Muhammad. Washington has now withdrawn non-essential staff from Sudan and Tunisia, with German diplomats also pulling out of Khartoum. The move comes after Libya said the killing of the US ambassador in Benghazi last week looked like a planned attack by terrorists, not a protest that got out of hand. That's it for this Monday morning. I'll leave you with a series of pictures to start your week. They say never work with animals or children, but politicians clearly have little choice, as you can see here, especially on the campaign trail. Here are a few from a Reuters slideshow entitled "Romney Holding Babies." I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.